Good morning, everyone. Heather here. And I am grateful for this beautiful day. I'm out here in my outdoor office. One thing I've been really working on personally is making sure I connect to nature, and I love the outdoors. But for some reason, ever since I've become a mom, I find myself inside more and more often as I'm taking care of my little ones and the baby, and I'm just constantly inside on the computer. So anyway, welcome to my little oasis here this morning. And I'm going to be talking about, hey Fred, hey everyone else watching, about what to do when we don't feel worthy of love. Okay, we're talking about how to speak the language of love, and that the shifts that we need to make, these secret psychological techniques as we like to call them, really all come down to the basis of what is truly inside of us. We live in a world that really looks to the external indicators, and we look at, people's position, their wealth, their families, the picture perfect couple, and even our physical bodies as a measurement of our success and where we are in our own lives. But all of those things are just the symptoms, and they're not really the cause. One of my mentors told me, he's like, Heather, you keep looking at the lag indicators, and what you need to do is look at the lead indicators. What are the things that are going inside of you internally that are then creating this external result for you? And one of the truths that we have found is that those that are masters of speaking this language of love and masters of marriage and relationship, they are excellent receivers. And they might not be excellent receivers at first, but they learn the simple truth that the number one reason most people don't receive the love that they really desire in their lives is because they are poor receivers. That for whatever reason, they don't feel like they can receive that love into their life. They might be good or bad givers of love, but when it comes to themselves, they have some blocks there. And we found that, this is a huge, I would call it an epidemic, a mindset epidemic, a mindset disease that is in our culture, is that we feel challenged by the idea of worthiness. And we feel challenged by the idea that we are not worthy. And I would say 95% of people have this internal belief at some level. I am not worthy. And where does that come from? Okay, that comes from our conditioning. It comes from hearing 20 no's for every yes. 20, you're not doing it good enough, for you're doing awesome. It comes from, that growing up with our parents, maybe they told us we weren't doing good enough. It came from our peers who rejected us in school. And this idea that no matter what we do, we're not good enough. And again, a constant looking at those external things in our culture as those are the indicators of success. How can we ever compare to each other, right? I don't have the Lamborghini in my front yard, so I'm not as successful, right? And so therefore we continually develop this idea and this mindset of not being good enough. This also comes on the opposite side. So maybe you had parents that were very supportive of you. Maybe you didn't get the feeling from them of I'm not good enough. But what happens on this end of the spectrum is that when our parents are very supportive, then we feel like we constantly have to measure up. We feel like we constantly have to prove ourselves that we're good enough to continue to receive that love. Therefore, we get the same idea. I'm not good enough unless I do this and this and this. Instead of that intrinsic value of I'm good enough because I am, and because we all are. We also get this conditioning of I'm not good enough because of the idea of punishment, right? Many of us grow up in homes where if you do something wrong, then you get punished. And every time that we do something wrong in the workplace, we get punished. If we do something wrong in school, we get punished. And so we get used to this idea that when we're not performing at level, there is punishment involved, okay? And what happens is now, even as adults, you think that we might kind of look at that in a different way and maybe break free of some of that. But what we end up doing is that even if no one's punishing us, if we feel like we're not living up to where we need to be, subconsciously we punish ourselves and we hold ourselves back and we limit ourselves and we block that abundance and that love and that joy from truly coming into our lives. So the mind, bottom line, it's conditioned to survive. That is its primary role. And this might not seem logical because it's not. And the brain doesn't care. It's full of files of past experiences and past, pains and hurts. And it keeps all of those things inside of us. And it forms these like really, they're called neural pathways, but they're like highways in the brain, these quick connections of this equals that and this equals that, because our brains take a lot of energy to work. And so when our mind is conditioned to survive, it takes all of those past files, all of that past programming, and it creates the story that I'm not worthy. And so I'm just going to stay stuck here, and I'm going to deny myself of the love and the joy and abundance that I could have. So I hope you're hearing me loud and clear, because I'm about to say something that if you hear this and you truly understand it, it could change your life forever, because it did for me. So are you ready? Whether you are worthy or not, it's all a made-up story. There is no truth that says you are not worthy. Let's play this out just a little bit more. So, and here comes my sweet little Naomi. Come here, sweetie. So, can you imagine that in the lineup before we were born, up in heaven, because I'm Christian, I believe in heaven, that God was there and he put a stamp on our foreheads and he said, okay, you're worthy, you're not worthy. You're worthy, you're worthy, you're worthy. Oh, you're definitely not worthy. And he sends us to earth like that. Do you think that a loving Heavenly Father would ever do that? Are some of us born as pure, innocent little souls being worthy and some of us aren't? Of course not, right? Go ahead and leave a comment. Hey, Tammy, how's it going? Hey, Jim. And so where does this come from then? Why do we believe this story if that isn't our truth? If our Heavenly Father did not send us here with a stamp of worthiness or unworthiness, but that we simply are worthy because we are his children, we have created the story ourselves. And the truth is that where most people get hung up is that they look to other people to determine their worthiness. They are expecting someone else to say, okay, you're worthy. And then they want to believe that. But the truth is, it doesn't really matter what anyone has ever said to us. It only matters what we believe, right? Someone could tell me I'm not worthy and I'm not going to believe that because that's not my internal core belief. However, the opposite side is true. If you have an inner core belief that you are not worthy, then it doesn't matter if someone tells you you're worthy. It doesn't matter if someone tells you that you're beautiful or that you're loved. Sorry for all the shakiness. Outside on my phone here today, enjoying that. But the only thing that matters is the story that you have chosen to believe about yourself. The good news is that your story can be changed, right? And instead of waiting for someone else externally to tell you that you're worthy, start to develop and cultivate that within yourself. All right, so this is a really funny exercise that I appreciate from T. Harv Eker, if you guys like him. He's the author of Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and he goes through this whole exercise about worthiness in his Millionaire Mind Intensive Seminar. And he says, okay, let's fix this right now. If we're waiting for someone to tell us that we're worthy before we finally believe it, then here and now we're going to perform a ceremony. And I want you to get dressed up, even if it's in your imagination, in your fanciest clothes. Men, a tux would be great. Women, a fancy dress and heels. Go get a designer gown, because this is going to be a truly significant moment in your life. Okay, are you ready? Now kneel down on the ground and bow your head in reverence for this solemn occasion. I, with the power invested in me, and I'm going to touch your shoulders, now declare that you are worthy from here to all time. Okay, now stand up. Did that really fix anything, right? If we're waiting for someone else to tell us that we're worthy, then we're looking for the wrong source of that worthiness. However, if we start to change our internal story and believe that I am worthy because I am a child of God, I am worthy because I am here on this earth and I am no different than anyone else, and God did not put a stamp on me, worthy or unworthy, then as you start to cultivate that in you, you will be open to therefore receive the love that is available to you, and you won't be blocking yourself from that love and that abundance. What's interesting is when you start to make this internal shift of truly understanding who you really are and what that deep inner voice is telling you, that you are loved, you are worthy, and you are capable, then everything else in your life starts to change as well. Not just in the areas of relationships or marriage, because how you do anything is how you do, or how you do anything is how you do everything, right? And so if you've been blocking yourself off from love and relationships, you've probably also been blocking yourself off from good job opportunities, from money, from time freedom, and anything else that your heart is really calling you from. You're probably feeling blocked and stuck in a lot of different areas. And it all comes down to the same root cause of this idea of being worthy. So from here on out, I dub you worthy of love. I dub that you are worthy. But what you need to do is develop that belief inside of yourself, into your core being. And when you make that shift, then everything else will start to come into you, into your life. And it's like opening up the floodgates. It just starts pouring in, and you can truly change your story. So hope this has been a benefit to you, and I appreciate all of you, and we'll talk to you soon.